So last week it was Miyazaki's birthday, all the way to 85, huh? And he's still going. Well, why don't we celebrate with a little tier list? I originally recorded this for the Weeb crew a few years back when The Boy and the Heron came out. They wanted to turn it into a fully edited video, but they didn't get the time. So I kinda did. Though we're only talking about Miyazaki here. The original podcast ranked all the Ghibli movies, and it's much longer if you want to check that out. Anyway, shout out to the patrons, and let's get on with the list. Very cool.
Well, I guess let's start off with a movie that technically isn't a Ghibli movie, but it kind of is. Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, or perhaps better known by its English title, Warriors of the Wind.
Has anyone actually seen that version of the film?
I've been meaning to, because someone actually took an HD release of Nausicaa and then recut it to the audio. Yeah, so that seems interesting. I want to check that out at some point.
Hey, it's Shane.
James is supposed to do a video essay about how Warriors of the Wind is better than the
It's a superior version.
I think he's talking about the Disney dub, 30
right?
No, he's totally talking about Warriors of the Wind. It'll be great.
That's what we should call the title, yeah.
The weird thing about Warriors of the Wind is, for some reason, I don't know how the hell they got away with this, no voice actors are credited for that version. Yeah, it's like you get to the credits and it's just the Japanese voice actors. It's not like the dub for that. So
I don't think anybody wanted to be associated.
No
with
one
that.
wanted to be associated with this.
Yeah, it was probably all
trying to pass this movie off as a Dune knockoff.
Yeah, maybe it was like they were all union and it was a non-union job, so they had to hide it.
That would not surprise me.
This is off topic. What's the weirdest adaptation? Is it Warriors of the Wind or is it the live action Angel's Egg adaptation?
That one's pretty weird too. That
one's, well, I guess it's a matter of weird versus just cynically butchering a movie, basically. Because I
That's like
feel
some
like
kind of transformative art
which one is
piece where
which,
you
though?
just take a
Yeah,
movie.
Which one is which? When you say that, I don't know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, what do we think? What do we think about Nausicaa?
I'm a big Nausicaa. I'm like the Nausicaa stan. I'll stand by Nausicaa all day long. Yeah, absolutely.
You did make a video, and a lot of people off calling it Miyazaki's magnum opus.
Oh yeah, I was mainly talking about the manga, but like, because I remember when I first read it or tried to read it, I actually couldn't because I saw the film first, like most people, right? And the film is like very Mobius-esque. It's very like lovely, colorful, wistful, like lots of detail in the world, and then you try and read the book.
They animated every grain of sand.
Oh, that was... fucking shout outs to Kenny.
Yeah, and then the manga is much more
very dense.
Yeah, very
panels.
dense, very brick-like.
So I'm just thinking of this thing like it's a small little manga-shaped package with 12 tiny little cubes on the page with like a ton of writing on them and trying to read that shit.
Yeah. Mimi, have you read the Nausicaa manga? Because I've not sat down and
yeah,
read it
it's one of my favorites. Like, it definitely panel work wise is not great. Like, the art is really great, but like he doesn't have a good sense of like panel to panel.
If I remember right, it's like an intentional decision because he went out of his way to not do flowing panels until about 400 pages in. He gives up on that and just makes it more like a regular comic.
Yeah, I think the movie works as like an abridged kind of version of like the first however so many chapters it was.
Well, from what I understand, the manga was very hard to adapt.
Yeah, and I don't think he even tried to adapt it because fundamentally the movie's message and the like manga's message are two different pathways. In some ways, the manga responds to the movie.
It's interesting because Nausicaa is such a dense manga. I remember reading that like the original screenplay for it, which was handled by Kazunori Ito, was like 3 hours long, and it's just like you can't make that into an animated movie. Miyazaki then had to like reduce that further to a lean 2 hours. This movie just pummels through. It is. I remember rewatching and just being like exhausted by the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the furiousness of it. Maybe because I know they like animated in like 7 or 8 months.
It had a hellish production cycle too.
Technically, that could be considered for every one of these films, though it's sort of a little bit like a mad beast in production because technically this was animated by Topcraft.
Right.
You got to put a bit of asterisk on there because what that really means to an audience isn't what they think it means. You have the Topcraft animators, and then you have this astroturfed chunk of people who work on Miyazaki projects that they bring in. So there's like, 6 or so freelancers. You've got a bunch of people who are then hired on who worked on about 10 years of other Miyazaki films. So they have that, and then you get a bunch of other people coming in later on, like young bucks, like even Maida. You got Mahiro Maida comes in on this film, and he brings Arno on as well. I think a couple of you got Kitaro Kosaka, who worked at O Production before, who becomes a huge player at Ghibli in the years to come. Almost got kicked off this film.
What did he do?
He was an animator, but he pissed off Miyazaki and almost like got kicked out. But then he became his animation supervisor for like a decade. So Take that as you will.
Yeah, because it's interesting because Ghibli now owns this movie, right?
Yes, and there's reasons for that.
Really, what's like the interesting reason?
So this just kind of gets into the whole like, how does this become Ghibli? And it's strictly a branding thing. Because obviously it doesn't exist. And what happens is Takuma Shoten, who is the company who owns Animage, they are the company that tried to fund this film, but they did it in very deceitful ways, in that they basically lied about how much it sold to try and get more interest in people funding the film.
How much the manga sold?
They basically like upped the number by 10.
Okay.
Like tenfold.
Oh. Tenfold. Oh, okay. It's not even like a little small.
No,
like,
they just fucking lied
they
straight
just
out.
order of magnitude increase.
Yeah, massive. I think it happened to be that Miyazaki's brother worked at an advertisement firm, and he was able to like big up the project and get them on as a sponsor. And they made a production committee with them and Toei. Takuma Shoten does movies and media, and they're known kind of for having a very sort of bombastic head who will just fund projects if he likes the people behind them. So yeah, it's fudged numbers, it's bullshit, and then this film ended up doing way better than anyone could have expected it to do.
Right, yeah, it was a pretty big movie.
Yeah, especially for an anime film back then, because they were still relatively niche. But it sold maybe, I think it was like 1 million tickets or something at the cinema, which is a pretty big deal. But yeah, it's a bit of a shit show behind the scenes because of that. Takuma Shoten gave Ghibli its start by giving them a part of the company, which was horribly in debt and didn't tell them. And because Takuma owned the magazine, they own Nausica, and then it becomes a Ghibli film by proxy.
And then it gets transferred to Ghibli down the line, basically.
Suzuki makes this thing up later where he goes like, oh, Ghibli was created by Nausica, which is just not true.
Because it kind of makes me think of like, I guess this is also true now, is like, it's like saying like Panty and Stocking or Gurren Lagann are Trigger anime, which...
Yeah, I mean, they're probably owned by them now because they stole
they are now,
got
technically.
the IPs back, yeah.
They literally just announced like a new...
Panty and Stocking!
So where do we put Nausicaa?
It's probably one of my favorites. What I like about Nausicaa is usually that I like that the soundtrack is not a big orchestral thing. It's a bit more
no, it's very electronic,
synthy. I like that all the animators have a bit more personality to some of their cuts because they haven't been sanded down. So you've got like pure Canada cuts in it. You've got Arno's infamous like melty demon monster shot. You've got Nakamura and all these other people. I'd probably put an S tier, but I don't think anyone else would.
There was the Nausicaa manga. I would definitely put an S tier.
Because I think for some people, they read the manga and they think the movie perhaps isn't as good. But I feel like they're almost two sides of the coin. And that like the Nausicaa movie is very big and luscious and gets to be that kind of like almost like a tone piece in a more Mobius-esque sort of fashion where the book is just more dense and very bitter. Like the spoiler I was going to say is that like, in the movie, the Aum are like, oh, such lovely nature creatures. And then in the manga at the end, they're like, nah, these things were created by humans. Fuck that shit. Nah, they're going to fucking destroy the planet. Turn it back to ash.
So it really is, just like the complete.
Yeah, they were like, nah, they're not pure nature or anything. They were man-made creations to try and save the planet.
That still fits with the theme, but that's just the complete opposite take on it.
Yeah.
Well, even like everyone complains about like Nausicaa feeling like a quote-unquote Mary Sue, and then they like weaponize that in the manga.
She's literally like an apostle. She's like Joseph or something.
It's like a Dune sort of thing, like a.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, she can't save the world. That's the ultimate end of the manga. Is that like she denies technology to save the world because she doesn't trust that it can. She believes it will only wipe the planet, and thus the planet cannot be saved.
She literally commits genocide.
That's okay, so, just like Dune.
I mean,
yeah,
which is
why when they brought the movie over, they tried to sell it as such.
I quite like the Nausicaa movie. I'd probably put it in B tier though, like a high B.
High B. Well, we don't have a point of reference yet, so I guess we could put it in B, and then
we'll leave it there and see how it goes, right?
See how it goes, yeah. See where things actually like end up down the line. Next up, we have the first proper Ghibli movie, Laputa, Castle in the Sky.
Not to be confused with the DDR song.
There's one.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Castle in the Sky?
I have no idea what you're referring to.
For the dance game?
Sorry, I didn't play DDR growing up. I was basically like someone who had like polio as a kid when it came to that stuff. Can't move my legs.
How did you cure it?
Sheer force of will, basically.
Shit, you're just like an anime
protagonist. I ate 3 raw eggs every morning.
Did 1,000 crunches, 1,000 push-ups every morning.
Yes. I just replicated Saitama's workout schedule.
But yeah, Laputa. It's interesting about like Miyazaki's catalog is because it feels like at the like start, it's a lot more like creatively driven. Nausicaa is probably like the peak of like Miyazaki's like creativity as far as like creating a setting and stuff. And then Laputa is kind of a step down from that. But then once you get into like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, kind of that era, like he's not necessarily creating as like a fantastical world so much as just using,
folklore.
Yeah. And then he just kind of improves like the execution a bit.
Well, and I think a lot of people have made this comparison before, is that Castle in the Sky very much feels reminiscent of Future Boy Conan.
Yeah, it's probably,
Yeah.
and then Future Boy Ponyo feels reminiscent of the film before that, Horus, Prince of the Sun.
Horus, yeah. I watched Horus recently, and I was watching that opening scene of Horus where he's fighting the wolves and stuff, and
That shit's good.
and I'm watching how he's animated, and I'm just like, oh, that's literally just Conan.
Yeah, it's also
it's
probably
like
the same
identical.
person, because that would be the opening scene is Miyazaki and Otsuka, who they did the opening scene, so they were also pretty involved in Conan.
I really love Castle in the Sky. I really love how it's structured, and this is something I've wondered, and maybe Steve, you can like maybe shed some light on this, is that I feel like at one point it was planned to be a 4-episode OVA, because the way the movie is structured is that it kind of resets itself every 30 minutes.
Now, I can tell you
It's
why
2
that
hours
is,
long.
but it's actually not the reason you think it is.
Really? Well, okay, so why is it?
Because Miyazaki doesn't write and finish his stories before he makes them.
Oh. So he just makes it up as he goes
Yes.
along, kind of?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Every one of these films is that.
interesting. So yeah, Castle in the Sky has like kind of episodic structure, or a stream of consciousness, I guess would be a better way to describe it now. Where it's like every 30 minutes, it's kind of like it's like a little arc, and then it kind
That's
of
probably
resets.
the Kishotenketsu, right?
Kind of. There's not really like a twist to the movie.
The twist is the Sky Palace, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so it's like the first act is the main two characters meet and them running away. And then the second act is after the old man in the cave tells them about the castle in the sky is real. And that second act ends with the old robot destroying the castle, the one fortress. Third act is them hanging out with the pirates on the plane. And then the final act of the movie is them in the actual castle of the sky. Just in terms of it being an adventure movie, it is really, really strong. It basically hits everything I would want out of an adventure movie.
It has
Yeah,
some
well-
nice like iconography too.
It's very coal mining town. British coal mining town. I think it's Wales, maybe.
Yeah, and then you have like that stark juxtaposition with the when they actually get to the castle in the sky. Everything is like mossed over and stuff. Kind of been overtaken by nature.
That's very how poetic from Miyazaki. Overtaken by nature. That's so unique of him.
So unique. Yeah. I really just such a standout work. I've never seen him quite touch on that theme before.
Yeah.
I can't believe Bakemonogatari stole the image of the girl falling from the sky though. God damn.
I mean, who hasn't stole the image of that girl from the sky?
Yeah.
True.
Where do we place it, I guess? Is it above or below Nausica?
I mean, obviously, as the number one Nausica stan, I would not say it is above. I quite like Sky the times I've seen it, though I always kind of feel when it gets to like the castle in the sky, I kind of just want it to end because I'm like everything beforehand I was more into.
Okay.
I feel like an A.
Feel like
I
an A?
like Castle in the Sky.
I think it's a
I
very
also like
whimsically fun little picture. You know, nice. They got that nice dynamic, which is something you're going to see a lot. It kind of starts the sort of Miyazaki boy girl dynamic in his movies,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Sky Pirates are cool.
They have a nice dynamic too.
I will say I like him more than Nausica, so I will. Yeah, let's just go with.
I'll let you. I'll let you have it. It's your channel.
You've
your
been
list.
outvoted.
Damn.
Next up is the happier movie, My Neighbor Totoro.
So maybe we want to do these together. Totoro and Grave were played at the same time in Japan as a double feature only. In their
Which
original
is such a
release.
f***ed up thing to do.
Yes, they started with Grave
Yeah.
because they didn't think people would stay if it was the other way around.
Yeah, take your veggies before you get your dessert.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
basically it.
basically, yeah, you gotta shame the kids before you can make a movie for them.
Yeah, they're like, hey, here's the 40s, and then suddenly at the end it's like, oh, that was and then they go right into the 50s. It's like, oh, okay, no, look at it.
All right, yeah, all right.
These kids don't even
some
remember the war.
Some healing after the trauma. So I was just saying I did not like grow up with this movie. I didn't watch it as a kid. I watched it as an adult, and I love this movie.
Really? That's interesting, because I do not care for Totoro either, so that's going to make people even more angry.
Oh my god, it's pissing everyone off today.
Yeah.
See, I
Coming for
grew
it.
up with Totoro, and I do like Totoro, but I'm not in love with Totoro.
Okay,
Oh, we've got
it's
three
interesting. So I'm the most
perspectives there. We've got,
positive
like, a
one here
gradient.
on it.
It's almost like there's nuance here.
Oh my god, it's the benefit of having more than one person do a fucking tier list video.
That's
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's like a really just wholesome, relaxing movie.
You know what? I understand it, because there's this film called My Miracle, which is made by Katabuchi, who also used to work at Ghibli for a bit. It's very similar to Totoro, and I love that film. And there's just slight differences, and it's not quite as like magical or mythical, but it is, two siblings sort of kind of going about their day. It's 50s Japan. I think at one point one of them gets lost. So they're spending a lot of time in the countryside. But I guess, there's the small changes in approach maybe. I'm into that one, but not here. And I think it's kind of like a tastemaker thing where like this film is like pure ma. What they say, like the kind of pure in between kind of, it's soothing kind of nature stuff. And if you vibe with that, I'm sure it's like really good. If you don't vibe with it, you're probably not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, if you hate grass.
Yeah.
What was the other movie you said? My Miracle?
Yeah, I think it came out like 2009 from Madhouse.
Okay.
I think a good strength of Ghibli is at least like on display in Totoro, where they kind of incorporate the more spiritual, fantastical kind of elements into like a very mundane kind of setting. It's a little bit more obvious in other movies, but it is like here, obviously with Totoro, the forest god and all that.
Yeah, and that might come from something I saw. Yeah, so Miyazaki has a big thing about putting on screen stuff that he can like visualize from his past or things that he's personally experienced. And he does this with his animators, and a lot of the animators seem like completely lost when he does it.
When you touch grass? I've never touched grass.
Like, have you touched it? Like, no. Have you ever like gave a dog a medicine that it's like, I've never had a dog. It's like, fuck's sake. And he's using that as an example to be like, this is how you'd administer medication to a dragon. Or in some case it'd be like, well, these soot like Kami, have you ever like opened up a fucking pillar in the countryside and seen all the mildew and all the like earwigs just run out of the way and scuttle? It's gonna be like that, and they'll be like, no, I've never done that. And he's like,
oh. So it is literally just, have you ever like gone outside into like the woods and just ran around?
Like, here's my personal experience. This is how I visualize the scene, and they're kind of like, I've not done that.
Can you? I don't know.
I think this movie does come off very differently when you're a child, though. Like I remember watching it as a kid, and like it being on VHS, like it had a very high like saturation.
Oh yeah, it's probably crushed the shit.
Yeah, it was like quality wise is awful, but like there's so many things that like stood out to me, I guess, like as a kid watching this movie, and it just has like such a different feel than when like I go back and rewatch it like now.
To go completely off tangent bit, maybe that's what I see in My Miracle, because that kind of reminds me of my youth sometimes, because I live, though, to some degree, like quite close to the countryside. So there are like instances where I can kind of relate to the experience of being sort of going through the countryside or little bits and pieces of it, especially when you're young. You go through like a little kind of crevice of it, and it kind of feels like a different world.
Yeah.
A little piece of woods or like just a little hutch of greenery.
Yeah. Being in like a new environment and stuff like that. I relate to like having like a sick mom element to it as well.
What do y'all make of the reading of Totoro being a god of death?
I fucking hate it so much.
That is...
It literally makes my blood boil.
Before this, we were just talking, and I came across an article that was basically saying that an R-rated Calvin and Hobbes movie where Calvin has schizophrenia would be a good idea.
Oh my god, kill me.
And that right there is on the same level as saying Totoro is a god of death.
But people unironically say this.
Creepypasta, isn't it?
That is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life.
The thing is, I've seen like in Japan, because I think it's actually popular in Japan too, because it's probably some bullshit someone made up on a forum, and then it gets on TV because they've got nothing else to put on there. So it's like, oh, did they really die? Did the girl die because the shoe is in the ocean? And it's like, oh no, of course not.
That's
like
on
they
the
also
level
say it
of...
because like he's attracted to like their mom, who's like in the hospital. I guess is like the reasoning. I guess is behind the theory or whatever.
The mom doesn't die.
Yeah, but she's sick. She's dying.
I mean, she technically she dies in real life because that's sort of based on his I think it's based on his own personal experience because he had a sick mother too. But
where do we want to put Totoro?
Like I feel like very similarly to Grave of the Fireflies for Totoro. Like they kind of hover around the same area for me.
Okay, so
I'll leave it to you because I feel like my opinion on that is probably an outlier for most. Even in Japan, because Totoro for the longest time was like the most beloved Ghibli film. It did terrible in the cinemas, but it played on Nippon TV every year for like 40 years and became like, that's what became the logo for the company because it became like the national brand.
I mean, the image in this poster, more than anything else, it might be the most referenced thing back to any like Studio Ghibli thing.
Completely, yeah.
I've seen it in like so many other things.
Yeah, it's the Akira bike of Ghibli.
yeah, it's on that level, honestly. I don't know. I'd say let's put it in B below Nausica.
That's fair.
Okay, as long as it's below Nausica, I can accept it.
Next, we have Kiki's Delivery Service.
I want to put this in S, but I feel like I might be alone in that.
I am. I mean, For me, it's like I don't dislike Kiki's, but I'm not in love with it.
Yeah, I wanted to rewatch it because I was kind of curious where I felt here, because I feel like every time I've watched it, I've had a bit of a different sort of perspective on it. I don't dislike it at all, though I think there's definitely some interesting stuff with it, and some of the behind the scenes I know kind of leads into it because
because you were talking about Katabuchi.
Yes, Katabuchi was the original director of this film,
and then he got forced out
because he technically still the assistant director. He didn't actually lead the production, and some factors that involved in that. One, from what I understand, is that Miyazaki starts a project. He usually goes, "I'll never do it again. I can't do it." Because his body's weak and he's fucking numb. And then he gets more strength as time goes by, and he suddenly starts getting into... he has a serious egotist problem, where Miyazaki can't be on a project and leave it be. So if he's part of a project, even if he's not the director, he has to meddle. And I feel like he slowly meddles his way into that predominant position of director again. Maybe why there isn't 100% sourness there. Katabuchi had a child during the production, another one. It was like a second child was born. So I feel he might have not actually wanted the director role after that complication happened.
In an anime-style interview with Katabuchi, he also mentions that the producers basically said they wouldn't fund it if it wasn't a Miyazaki project. So they basically killed any chance of him directing right there.
Because, Hosoda's fucking burnt scorched earth on that shit. He's fucking, he's still got a chip on his shoulder.
I mean, understandably,
doesn't seem as much.
Okay.
It doesn't really feel like a Miyazaki movie as much as like his other stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a funny thing with Oshii. I think he says in the book once where he tries to accuse Suzuki of, tainting.
Or trying to, rein him in to make a more commercial product.
There is some truth to it, because Suzuki was a little bit, maybe shitting himself, because he's realized there's actually been diminishing returns with every one of his films. So Nausica got the highest one, and slowly, with each of the releases, it's gotten lower and lower, which is basically a death sentence for your studio. And you got all that debt. So he had to really change up the strategy quite a bit with Kiki, which became the successful strategy. That's the first film that was in the black in the studio. And it set the template.
I'm reading this excerpt from Oshii's book. Miyazaki loves perfect girls.
It's true, he does.
Miyazaki's heroine would never go to the loo like Kiki did in the film. Which apparently shocked those who knew Miyazaki. Why did he do that then? Oshii believes Suzuki kept whispering into Miyazaki's ears, "Miya-san, the beautiful girls you have depicted are not good. You should make her a character that real girls can empathize with."
And Miyazaki was like, "I don't understand. What's a real girl? I don't know what you're talking about." I actually feel that the sort of go on the toilet thing feels very Katabuchi. But yeah, Suzuki may have also tried to push it, because I remember that apparently the target audience was teenage girls. And I think that does change how they format it.
どうやって作ったらいいのかな、その少女の思春期。それでね、皆さんがふと言い出したんですよ。そうだっつって。鈴木さんの娘、実は僕には娘がいましてね、ちょうどその時13歳だったんです。彼女をモデルにこの映画を作ったらどうだろうなんていうことを言い出して、これで僕は映画を作る時、自分の娘の話をね、随分皆さんにしました。で、それが結果、ああいう映画になって。
I kind of see it. It definitely feels like it's for like an older audience, but not necessarily like adults necessarily.
No. I mean, maybe it's like family, but there's definitely, just because of the kind of themes it goes through, there's sort of like the going through puberty,
kind of finding
changing, burnout, creativity, finding a first job. These all quite young people factors. Turning your passions into work.
Yeah, it's kind of a unique little gem in the Ghibli catalog.
For me, it's just a matter of not a lot of this movie stuck with me. I really need to rewatch. I was planning on rewatching it for this video, but like so many other movies I needed to watch, that I didn't get around to it.
I was playing basketball. That's what I was doing instead of watching Kiki.
You balling.
Yeah, I was literally balling.
Hell yeah.
I do not regret
it.
But
where would we put it, I guess?
You can put a B tier. I wouldn't mind putting a B tier. I mean, maybe some other people would go higher.
You want S?
I want S, but I can settle for A. I'm totally fine with A.
Yeah, put it in A, why not? I don't know. I don't really mind. I'll allow it.
You'll allow it to be above Nausica?
Yeah, I'll allow it. I'll give it to him just because it's a nice film. Because I didn't rewatch it, I feel bad. If I'd rewatched it, I was like, nah, f that shit. But because I didn't,
fuck you.
Because I was balling, I have to concede.
Out there, not touching grass, touching asphalt.
Yeah, that shit was gravelly as f. There was broken glass everywhere.
Oh Jesus Christ! Porco Rosso.
Ghibli's Casablanca adaptation.
Yes.
Ghibli,
S tier. Let's go.
I'm not opposed to S tier.
Oh, I'm that for a time that was my favorite Miyazaki film. Sometimes
it is a
Nausicaa's
great movie.
Oh yeah, it's a better Casablanca. There we go. That's my angry comment for this.
It's a better Casablanca. I don't disagree. You know what? It is a better Casablanca.
I've seen both. Like I think Porco Rosso is better.
Casablanca's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a good film.
Casablanca has like the ultimate like dude's rock ending.
Well, it doesn't have a pig fight someone in like.
This is very true. This is by far and away like the most indulgent Miyazaki ever gets.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. He knows it too, and he was. I love that quote. He said he was like shocked. He's like, this film is like so idiosyncratic or something, and it's like done better than any other film we've made at the studio, and that horrifies me.
Yeah, this movie's awesome. There's a moment in the movie that I really like where it's the part where they're making the new plane, and they're talking about how they want to do this thing, but they're already like over budget and everyone's overworked. And I'm watching that. I'm just like,
classic.
Oh, they're just talking about the movie.
Yeah,
just talking about
even like the old guy looks kind of like Miyazaki if you like.
Yeah,
Squid.
I mean, to be fair, I think Miyazaki, it's been said that the insert is he's the pig.
Miyazaki.
Oh no,
the
definitely,
pig.
yeah,
absolutely. He flies the coolest plane.
The sexist.
He gets like the cute, he gets like the cute tomboy.
Literally
they
just
love him,
Humphrey
but
Bogart.
ultimately he ends up going with his wife in the end. The actual woman he's destined to be with. Because this was produced at the same time as Only Yesterday. So the staff, there was a big hubbub, and I think this is a Suzuki thing. He was doing a bit of manufactured sort of bollocking, but he was like, "There are so many women working on this film. Look at all the women working on it." And the reason is because they didn't have all these other people working on Takahata's film, so they sort of.
So wait, Porco Rosso was like the B project almost.
I think it's not necessarily B project. It's just that Only Yesterday started first. So because it started first, they already had the animators. So if you've got the staff and the thing, they're already on project. So when Miyazaki's project starts, you don't have those people to work with you on the salary department. So they basically brought a lot of people in the studio who were women who were sort of like lower on the totem pole. And they just rise them up a couple ranks, which is, I think, was supposed to be the inspiration of the all-women sort of plane factory.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was also around this time they started building their actual studio. I don't know if they'd finished it by the start of this film.
Okay, so where were the women housed? Like, it just like Kumashoten something?
They had basically some storage house, which was probably what Kumashoten gave them. And eventually they started, during this period of time, they start building their own in-house studio that we all know. But
basically, this is just Ghibli fan fiction where...
Yeah, basically.
Miyazaki's a pilot.
Yeah, and
working at an airplane factory.
Yeah, and Miyazaki kind of being like completely disheveled in the world because this is where this is during the period where Miyazaki's kind of like giving up on Marxism basically and becoming a full doomer.
Better to be a pig than a fascist.
Yeah.
That might be the hardest line in any Miyazaki movie.
It is so fucking hard.
I could work something out.
Thanks for the offer, but I'd rather be a pig than a fascist.
The one thing I say, I actually quite like the dub on this film, but there's one thing I really don't like about it is that this is like such a fucking Disney decision. They removed the word pornography from the film, which is kind of annoying.
Oh, yeah, what they're talking about is crimes.
Yeah. It's a scene where, it's crimes, and that is actually like a historic reference. It's not like a joke. It's supposed to be a reference that like that's what the Italian fascists would do. They would literally arrest you by saying you were arresting for the crime of pornography or something.
There was something else mentioned in there, too, that was just completely innocuous. Yeah, good movie.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I had completely misplaced expectations for Whisper of the Heart. Well, because I saw The Cat Returns first. So I figured that this movie was going to be like a surreal Alice in Wonderland style adventure.
No.
No.
See, I thought this was going to be about someone with a heart murmur.
Yeah, I think it's because the title doesn't translate correctly. Because it's actually, that's like a sort of localization. Because the original doesn't quite work, I think, in English.
I really like this movie.
Oh, actually, this might actually be my favorite Ghibli film in retrospect now. I think it's grown over time. Maybe some of it might be because there's a bitterness in me knowing that Kondo died straight after this.
Yeah, when you said heart murmur, and it immediately made me think like, oh.
Yeah.
Which is, very sad.
Too soon.
Pretty fucked up. I also did not at all expect Country Roads to feature so prominently in the movie.
Yes, it does. Did you listen to the Japanese, I take it?
Yeah. I watched the Japanese dub.
I would say because that English dub is the one that I hate the most.
Really?
Because it's so... Oh, God, I hate it so much. I hate it on so many levels.
How does that even work, though? Because she is translating the song.
It doesn't work. I don't even know how they fight. They don't translate it all. I don't know. Rewriting it, I think that was what they went with. I can't remember.
Then that makes no sense because why are you rewriting a song in the same language?
Couldn't you have just made it like pretend it was a Japanese song?
Yeah. But when the movie starts and that song just starts playing, I just kind of burst out laughing because I was like, what the fuck? All right.
Yeah, they just go with it.
Yeah.
I think it works in its own way.
Yeah,
It's kind of
definitely. It's a
interesting.
good like just sort of like narrative through line for this.
Especially the scene with the violin and all that.
Oh, like the band scene. That was very cute. But yeah, so I was expecting this movie to be more along the lines of like Cat Returns, and like the Baron was going to show up and guide her on this like whimsical adventure. No, the Baron just like shows up in one scene that just happens and
yes,
then it
it does.
ends.
Of course, because the Baron is a fictional character.
Yes.
Of her world.
I remember watching it and I was thinking to myself, wow, nothing has happened. An hour has passed and it's felt like 15 minutes. It's a really well-made movie.
Yeah, I feel very mesmerized by it. And I think
it's
it's kind of the opposite of the Totoro thing, where like I this is for me where that element is, where like just the simple act of the visuals, the music, and the pace of just understanding that world sits me in very well.
Yeah.
In a way that doesn't, but I feel like that's probably how most people feel about Totoro.
Yeah.
But I feel it here.
This is
Yeah,
like
this movie's
top
just
5
very-
for me.
Top 5?
Yeah, I'm definitely.
It's definitely up there for me as well.
I feel Kondo needs his justification here. Like,
Yeah.
to be fair, when this film came out, this was the biggest Ghibli film that had been released in Japan.
Was it really?
3 billion yen?
Wow.
I think on release, which probably might be because Anya Mark was also there. That was the sweetener.
Oh,
to it.
yeah.
And they shoved Miyazaki's name on it, of course, but like his involvement is, I think it was screenplay only, and then Kondo did whatever he wanted from there. I think it was probably a little heightened up. I mean, I'm putting an S tier. I'm happy to put it there because that's, I feel it might be my top one.
I'd put it below Only Yesterday.
I would, I would, I
But I'd
feel
also
like,
put Only Yesterday in S tier, so...
I feel like,
Oh, okay.
You're
That's like 2 S tiers.
I feel like,
or top A.
you can put her in,
I'll accept top A.
we can put her in top A.
Unless
We
I'm
got
thinking
Princess Mononoke.
Ghibli is fantasy. Like Ghibli films that we see are fantastical films mixed with the mundane really properly. Like this film really solidifies that, and then Spirited Away just fucking hammers it down.
Yeah.
And that's the films that do best for Ghibli.
Princess Mononoke is my favorite Ghibli movie, I'd say.
It was my favorite for a long
I just
time.
finished making a video on it. Plug.
Plug.
Out by the time
I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe that video will be out by the time that this video comes out. Yeah. So I really think for me, the main thing I love about Princess Mononoke is kind of what you were talking about, is like the fantasy aspect of it, because this movie has a very unique tone to it, and I think it feels very like an epic in a lot of ways.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
I like it.
It's very Kurosawa.
Yeah.
And that seems to be
Kurosawa, like sort of
intentional
like
for that.
mythic epic to it, that I really love.
Yes.
Because this would have been 96?
98?
97?
97,
The production starts in 94. The film comes out in 97.
Okay.
But the film's production animation starts in 95. It's the first 2-year production cycle.
Okay.
Which is why the scale is much bigger.
Yeah.
And technically, it might have been one of the biggest films ever. It was probably 3.4 billion if you can't consider the marketing.
I can see it because this movie is well, it's technically only still 2 hours, but within that 2 hours, it's like very like massive.
About
all of these,
2:15, I think.
all these like set pieces and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's really big.
Yeah.
There's one point I actually make in my video, which isn't I probably, at the video I don't really qualify it because I'm hoping my audience is mature enough to understand this. I kind of compare Nausica and this in terms of their scale and show a lot of scenes that are similar and how they handle that.
I can definitely see that.
And you can see that like there's much more detail, much more density in Mononoke. Doesn't necessarily mean that's better, but that's just what's going
Well,
on.
these are the movies that, Nausicaa and Princess Mononoke are the movies that depict like all-out war, basically.
Yes, and that's why the advertising campaign in Japan focused on that connection point. They said 13 years after Nausicaa in the film's
Really?
trailer,
Okay.
specifically to relate that. And technically they were perceived at the same time because Princess Mononoke actually is older than Nausicaa because the first pitch was made in 1980.
Really? Wow. I remember reading that somewhere.
Yeah, I think of Miyazaki's like, kind of green message movies. This one's kind of the most digestible in like a kind of casual sense.
Well, I think it still
Yeah,
goes
'cause
back
it's-
to the stuff he was talking about all the way back in like Future Boy Conan, where it's the sort of duality of technology and development, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the film is actually about resource management because it's about the scarcity situation.
Yeah, it almost kind of feels like a companion piece to like Pom Poko. In regards to that, Pom Poko obviously
Yes,
takes
it
place.
is the more cowardly approach.
The more cowardly approach.
Yeah, it's because Takahata talks to the screen and Miyazaki makes this film about love and
Makes this
fucking
film
beast boys and
about
whatever
makes a
else.
love story
Big
in the
wolves.
context of a massive
Yeah.
ecological war.
Takahata went balls out.
Yeah, he put his balls out and Miyazaki hid his balls once again.
I would be willing to put this at number 1 right now.
That's interesting. I've never had I think it's good.
I don't have any personal connection to it.
Okay.
I think after rewatching it for the video, after learning everything, I definitely respect the craft because this was like one of the worst productions I've ever fucking heard of.
Really?
This is fucking nightmare shit. Yeah, this is just awful. And that's like in comparison to Ghibli stuff. But it's just longer, right? And it's just messy.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a nightmare.
Well, this is the end of cell animation, basically.
Yeah, it effectively is. And in some ways, people would say it may have smashed the coffin because about 10-15% of this film is digital and you won't even be able to tell. Most people will not know the difference. I can see the difference sometimes because I know like how to look for it.
Worms.
But there are a lot of shots where you can't even see it.
You can kind of see, if you really like look for it though. This kind of marks like the end of an era and the start of a new one in a lot of ways when it comes to animation in Japan. Well, I guess that also kind of also ties into just the story of the movie itself, because the movie itself is the end of one era and the start of another, essentially. I'd be fine putting it in S.
S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier.
I think it's pretty good. So I'll take it. It's definitely a popular one, and it also is very important for the studio for a manner of reasons.
It's like my top 3 Ghibli. I'd say like visually it's in my top 3, and then like
yeah, I think from a set piece perspective, like the action scenes in this one are hard to really top, especially the opening, which is probably the most impressive.
Oh yeah. I think it's hard to argue against it being S tier.
I mean, I also just love all the characters. Lady Ibushi and Jiko are two of my favorite like just villains.
They're very fun.
Oh yeah, Billy Bob Thornton voices Jiko in the dub. I like the dub. It's all right.
The behind the scenes on that dub is fucking insane.
Oh
what
Alpert talks about.
Yeah, he mentioned it, but some of it is just like, God almighty, how like the localization of it sounds like a fucking nightmare. Yeah. But even the sound design, because Miramax seems to have just tried to sabotage the film. Yeah. So like they had to have a second engineer come in and be like, remove that sound. That's not in the original. That's not in the original. And they did that, and there was like 2,000 sounds. So they had to go through every second and be like, remove that sound, remove that sound, remove that sound, remove that sound. Because they had just layered it with fucking Superman noises and high-pitched things and sound of butterflies' wings. Every time it was quiet, they just added shit. They had to just go through it piece by piece and just remove it all.
Cool that they basically said fuck you to Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, they did, because the story sometimes gets heightened. I mean, I actually make a weird animated avant-garde version in my video.
Interesting.
Which was the only way I thought I could express it. The short of it is that in some ways there's 2 stories, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a story where Suzuki is being a dickhead when he should be worried about production, and he's gone off to New York to see Weinstein. And this is probably just after production, but he's talking about it like a year beforehand. He's planning it. He buys his fucking replicas of katana.
Yeah.
During the production getting really fucked.
The famous
and he's
katana
like
story.
Running around the studio, be like, look at my katana, look at my katana.
Oh god.
Ooh.
Yeah, then he basically sends the katana to Weinstein. It's like no cuts.
He takes it he takes it in person.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But the thing is, they haven't talked about cuts yet. So this is all vanity.
Oh,
like,
well, I guess it's probably partially informed by Suzuki being a madman.
Weinstein's reputation before being a sex pest was that he cut international films.
Yeah.
That was his reputation. So Suzuki has probably been told this, and he went to his office to talk about the film. There was no talk about cuts at all. This was like an early meeting, and he just brings his sword out and goes, Mononoke Himeo, no cut. And everyone in the office is like, what the fuck? What the absolute fuck are you doing? And even Weinstein's like, no, we'd never dare cut the film, but we probably need to do something about the translation's a bit dry.
That's a pretty funny story. That's even like funnier than what I like originally heard, which this story gets like constantly muddied. Like I think I've heard like versions where it's like Miyazaki is like the one with the sword.
No, Miyazaki never. Yeah. I think it's a little bit too crass for even Miyazaki. It's a total Suzuki. Yeah, I swear he did this, and it's very smart. He did it just for the press. It's just press. Yeah, because people talking about 20 years after.
Yeah, if there's one thing Suzuki is good at, it is press. And next we have the most popular fucking movie ever made, Spirited Away.
2 decades straight, only beaten by that fucking demon train.
It's a demon train.
The only beat by a fucking demon. I guess Your Name also beat it out.
Only for a little bit. Then China made it.
Okay.
Spirited Away won again. That made it over the top again.
I mean, it deserves the hype. I think it's a great movie.
I just finished watching it again, and yeah, it's because I at first assumed like, well, the reason this film really would have taken off stateside, especially, is I thought like, well, Disney would have definitely went for this one because this is far more like their prototype kind of thing. Like, this is a lot more whimsical and magical. And then I found out no, that's actually not the case at all.
Really?
They saw the film and they were like, we think it's great, but we think it's too niche. This is after it was the biggest Japanese film of all time. This is what they told, but we just don't think that Americans will watch this film. It's too niche. Too niche.
How insulting.
As soon as it won the Oscar, it had a second screening, which assessed their plans a little bit, and they put a little bit more money in.
I like to think that Disney saw that Shrek and this movie won Academy Awards before any of their shit, and then they just said to themselves, never again.
The Oscars are bullshit, right?
They're a complete sham.
Somebody in the Disney department.
Yeah.
Like, if it was
Disney owns ABC.
Disgraced producer John Lasseter, or if it was someone on Alpert's side, pushed it very hard to be an Oscar winner, and nothing else was really on the table that could win.
Yeah, I think it's. I recently watched G Kids put out a taping of the stage play adaptation of Spirited Away. Yeah, I saw it's an interesting adaptation. I don't know if it fully works as a stage play because there's just like so many like set pieces and the layout of the bathhouse and all that stuff doesn't really lend itself to.
Yeah, it'd be probably quite hard to do.
Yeah, well, they had like a rotating set and stuff. It was interesting to see.
I mean, that's cool.
The story was still largely the same, and I still really like the story. The only thing I don't really care for that much, and I don't dislike it, but I'm not in love with it, is specifically Haku's character.
Oh, yeah?
Haku's I'm just kind of like, he's all right. I like the payoff with his character at the end.
Yeah, it's nice. He's serviceable. It's another situation where Miyazaki, I've wrote a 3-hour script, I've been making a 3-hour storyboard. Oh, what do we do? Because that can't happen.
You can't make a 3-hour
and they had
that's just not tenable. So how do you cut it down?
Basically transforming the whole thing. The second half I think was completely rewritten, and they cut a bunch at the beginning because the beginning of the storyboard is actually them moving, so it's them moving boxes and stuff, and that goes on for quite a while.
Okay.
I remember hearing at one point there was going to be like a big epic like fantasy battle with her sister, with the Baba sister.
Really? Okay, I'm glad that you didn't go down that route because I love how that whole ordeal plays out.
Yeah, I prefer the newer version, but I feel that was a compromise of, okay, well, if we went that way, that would be lots of effort, that would be lots of energy, and it would come after this 3-hour version of the film. There is a version in which the sourness of Chihiro stays much longer and becomes more pivotal of the character, and you can kind of see it in the film, especially rewatching it just now. I really noticed there's what we call a complete transformation point at the end of part B, where the film dramatically changes. And that seems to be a fight of the internal ego once again, as Ando had a lot of responsibility on the film at first. The person who was a supervisor last time, when the NTV were talking about it, they were saying they were equals, quote. He was the character designer, and he had a lot of importance about how the film would look and the animation and the kind of style. And they wanted to go for something that was a bit more a lot more like interpersonal. What we were talking about before, right, with Kiki. Like, Kiki is not the perfect Miyazaki girl. And what happens in Spirited Away is that sour character who is pretty much there for the first part A and part B, has that kind of victory within their own terms, and then magically transforms in part C to a Miyazaki girl.
Right. Are you specifically talking about the dirty water god?
After that is finished, she dramatically changes.
Well, she becomes much more proactive. She
becomes... I feel like there's a sort of compromise with the dirty creature in that, it's very stinky, they're trying their best, they're still klutzing around a bit, they're being awkward. I think the real fundamental change you see is when she starts running across that, I don't know what you call them, like piping.
Oh, and it's like collapsing
when she starts. Yeah, because that's an action goal,
right?
So
yeah.
Before in the film, she couldn't even go down some fucking stairs. Now she's running across that. It's like, Jesus Christ, that element of the film is just gone at that point.
Yeah.
It's just no. This character is going to be a hero, a heroine. Is going to run up.
I wonder how much of that was influenced by Princess Mononoke's success. They wanted to do the whole battle sequence at the end and having her become more of a competent action hero.
I think it is all just Miyazaki's ego. There's that original talk where he starts murmuring about this idea of retirement. And then Takuma Shoten, a couple months later, is like, no, that's not happening. Absolutely not, that's not happening. And they make a press conference. And then Miyazaki goes, well, I never technically said I was retiring. I just said I couldn't do as much work as I used to. And then this film happens, right? And he's like, well, my eyes are shit now, so I can't check every frame. My hands are all bloated. And that's why Ando was supposed to take more responsibility. He was supposed to do, and I think he did most of the corrections. Or there's some talk about it where Ando was like, I wanted Rin to have big womanly features, and Miyazaki didn't, and ultimately Miyazaki wins out.
I'm now imagining a womanly featured Sen.
Well, it's funny that you say that. We talked about the death god theory. What do we think about the theory for Spirited Away?
I didn't even know that was a theory. God, that makes
The theory for Spirited Away is that the bathhouse is just a metaphor for sex work.
Oh. I mean, I could see that more. Actually, there's a funny story where Miyazaki said that the inspiration was actually Peruvian child slaves.
Oh, God.
I guess that explains the Peruvian flu in every fucking Ghibli movie.
Yeah.
I feel like the sex work thing has a bit more credence to it than like the Totoro death god thing.
I mean, you get a lot of this. A lot of it's kind of revisionist, where sometimes you might hear Suzuki go, well, it's kind of like a metaphor about working at Ghibli. You know, because you come in all young and spry, and then it's not exactly what you think, and you have a horrible time.
Parents turn into pigs.
Yeah, and then there'll be the people who become the person that Miyazaki wants them to, and the ones that turn into pigs.
Guess that explains Porco Rosso.
Yeah.
Miyazaki was the pig the whole time. Where do we want to place Spirited Away then?
I want to put it in A.
I think it's a great film. First full digital film with a plan, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And they really use it in interesting ways.
Yeah. Standout sequences, the flowers.
Yeah, you can see those. That's like perspective composites. The first shot you're probably going to see is the CG like totems.
And all rendered on less than a gigabyte, probably.
Yeah, probably. But, you know, they could spend like 2 years rendering out or something.
Yeah, on like a personal level, I kind of want to just put an A. Because, like, it's not like my favorite Ghibli movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a couple of the rankings.
If I say that about Princess Mononoke, as far as like it's hard to put it outside of S tier just because of its impact, I feel like the argument applies for Spirited Away.
You could say for A for definitely. I mean, where in A tier, I'm not really that bothered.
Okay.
I guess the question is, which of these are Miyazaki? So I guess, do you think it's better than Castle in the Sky or not?
I would say I like this more than Castle in the Sky.
I like Castle in the Sky more, but if we're talking about like a broader scope, I'm all right with putting Spirited Away.
So I'm thinking for
at the top of A tier.
Or... So I guess A tier right now is Whisper of the Heart, Kiki's, Spirited Away, Laputa.
Yeah.
Sound good? Well, next up we have another creative control battle. Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, that's one I'm be making a video about soon as well. Though, in terms of like the way it's painted, is that this is Suzuki like literally. I almost feel like he's specifically using Hosoda as a patsy. Because the way Hosoda tells the story is that he pitched like 3 or 4 different versions of the film that he knew would be Howl's Moving Castle, and all of them were rejected.
Basically, just like submit your ideas, and then they just rejected, giving him the runaround essentially.
Yeah, it sounds like what they wanted was him to be a puppeteered Miyazaki. So maybe if Miyazaki decided to want to direct the film, they could easily replace him.
Production drama aside, I still really like this movie.
Actually, yeah, out of the 3 most popular films, this is my favorite. So out of Mononoke, Away, and this one, yeah, this is definitely my favorite of the 3.
I guess you're the odd man out here because you don't like this movie, you fucking asshole. You loser, you piece of shit.
I would put it in D.
You know what's kind of interesting though? What led you to that? Because I'm kind of curious.
I just don't know. Nothing about it really resonated with me. I think it's interesting the way they like handle the castle. I don't know, like as a story, it just doesn't do anything for me.
Everything about this movie is weird. Like the structure of the movie, the events that happen, and like the witch that's set up at the start is then just turned into like this feeble old woman halfway through, and I'm just like, what the fuck is happening?
Now, some of that, this is actually an adaptation of a British novel.
Yes. Yeah.
So a lot of the formation of the plot. Now, the thing with Miyazaki is he radically changes pretty much all his adaptations. Of course, yeah. But I feel like a lot of the beats of this story are still from the novel. And it's not a one-part story. I think this is really important to recognize.
Oh, yeah. It's like 3 books or something?
Yes. So like this is actually one piece of a bigger story where they have to end very quickly.
Right, yeah.
And obtusely.
So it does kind of have like a bit of like an unwieldy sort of story to it where there's also all these characters. But I also just, I think the core of the movie, though, it's most overt Miyazaki really gets with his theming, I'd say. Because the ending of the movie is very obviously, war cannot be prevented by fighting war. It will turn you into an evil bird monster. War is fought by doing small good deeds.
Yeah, that sounds very much there. But it also kind of reads to me in that Miyazaki is too cowardly. to do war, because, you know, some readings of this film come up with when I think he'd mentioned himself about, it's like, Iraq War. I was like, bro, this is not the Iraq War. Bro, this is not the Iraq War. The Iraq War does not end because you find the prince at the end.
Interesting. The prince is Osama bin Laden and weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, of course. It's the Lord of the Rings all over again.
Oh God, his Lord of the Rings takes or so. But Miyazaki just has L takes left and right. Anyway, I think it's fair to put this movie in like B tier probably.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think ultimately, even though I can tell there was definitely some problems. Also, this is the one film that got delayed.
Really?
Which I think tells me that must be a fucking nightmare behind the scenes. Because Miyazaki films come out in July. Mm-hmm. That's what Suzuki has set. And he's really not usually for removing that. Even now, like the newest film comes out in July.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. Since Kiki, that's when the film started making money. They all come out in July.
It's the summer movie.
That's the idea. That's the Ghibli July.
Ghibli July. That's a good...
Yep. And this film comes out in November because they need an extra 3 months.
Oh, okay.
So they couldn't finish it.
And you said you're going to make a video on this as well at some point?
Oh yeah, I think this one I've been wanting to do for ages because it just sounds like such a shit show. And I like the drama.
But I think putting this mid B tier is probably all right.
Here's Ponyo next.
All right. Well, I'm the number one Ponyo stan also. So.
Are you really? Because I had not seen Ponyo as a kid.
Definitely...
I remember seeing commercials for it or like previews and like DVDs and stuff for this movie.
This got pushed really hard.
Yeah, so I remember seeing a bunch when I was like 10, 11 years old when the movie was like first coming out. I never saw it up until a few days ago. And
I mean, I had a similar thing in that like I knew of the film's existence, but I didn't see it until years and years after the fact.
I tried watching it at a friend's house like 2 or 3 times, and I fell asleep every single time.
Fell asleep? There are a few like interesting things about this movie watching it as an adult. One, I was watching this with Gil, and he said that Joe had an interesting observation about it, which is that it is a pre-311 movie. I think about being pushed so much in the United States as well, and the direct analog of that time would have been Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, tsunamis are not exactly out of place in Japanese history.
Yeah. Sakaike as well, because it's fundamentally about the relationship between two characters, essentially determining the fate of the world, because otherwise the moon is going to fucking crash into the earth.
Yeah, it's so comfy.
So it's such a wonderful apocalypse. It's like, oh, she's like a fish. All right, yeah, why not? Yeah, that's cool.
Well, you want to go on a boat?
Go with it.
With like a candle?
Yeah,
sure, yeah, go for it.
I would. I was like, that's fucking sick, bro. I want to look at these fucking fish.
I love how this movie looks in general. I love the backgrounds of it.
Oh, yeah.
And there are some insane animated scenes. Like, obviously, Ponyo running on the waves is like...
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
But then just like the way they're animating like characters and things in water is really impressive.
Yeah, and if I remember right, so this is a film where it is obviously digitally animated, but they basically they say that they basically used no CGI, or I think they actually object against digital compositing on like heavy layers. I think they tried to keep it to cell level, which is usually about 4 or 5 layers. Right. So they removed the idea of complexity. And this is a problem I think I can even see in Spirit Away, but like if you give someone an infinite well, it's easy to get stuck in it.
Right. Well, I guess that makes if that's the case, then some of the scenes that are underwater where you have all of these fish moving around are really even more impressive. They're doing that on like even fewer layers.
All those fish are drawn by one person on one layer. It's possible.
And the movie itself is fairly small in that regard as well, because it is like Fish girl gets legs.
I like the classic Arno quote on the film, which is that, that mother, she bad.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, not only is she bad, she is a bad driver. Holy fucking shit. Those are some of the most tense scenes in any Ghibli movie I've ever seen.
It looks good, though.
Oh, it does.
It doesn't look good. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, the mom is really hot. Apart from that, though, I watched the movie, and then like the next day I woke up and I was like, I don't really remember a lot of what happened. I was surprisingly more mid on the movie.
Very simple, but I think that's very simple. Like the movie's benefit. Like
that's fair, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost a rejection in some ways of like, so Miyazaki had then at that point, he had these 3 giant films, right? And they were all kind of these big epics and stories of somewhat romance, and they have these sort of huge stakes at times. Spirited Away is probably the smaller stakes of the
smaller
them, right?
stakes,
and Ponyo is a complete rejection of that.
Yeah.
He goes, no, I'm going to make a film for children that's like nice and easy. And it is sure it's about the end of the world, kind of, but like ultimately it's about having a good time with your main girl.
Yeah.
Just wants to fuck a fish, and that's okay.
That's okay. We need Ponyo too. God damn it, we need the follow-up movie.
You've heard the theory
like it won't be PG.
That Kiki's delivery service, the husband and wife that make the bread, are just the grown-up versions of the kids from Ponyo.
I don't usually like fairy tales. I mean, it's nice to believe, I guess, because it'd be cute if that was the case. I mean, at least it'd be
That'd
like
be all
completely
right.
harmless.
Yeah, that's a nice little fan theory.
Yeah, that's like I'm glad they're living together happily and like live a very normal life now.
Yeah, it's secretly fucking dark.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, also Ponyo's mother kind of bad, but maybe too big.
Well, if you were into unbirthing, she'd be the perfect size.
Not for me.
When I saw how big Ponyo's mom was, I was like, holy moly.
The colorist saying that they actually tried to get the colors of this film closer to like Miyazaki's storyboards, which I think you can kind of tell. Like it's still
I can kind of see that
as is, but yeah, like the colors are a bit more pastel.
Yeah,
The backgrounds look very like color pencil.
Oh, very.
Yes.
Yeah, they've obviously been drawn in very
Yeah.
articulately.
This is probably like my top 3 as far as just visuals.
Oh yeah, it's a
Of, like,
great looking
Ghibli's
film and
catalog.
very comfy.
I would be inclined to agree.
It's
Well, with that
very
in mind,
impressive.
where do we place it?
I'd say A.
I would be fine with low A.
Yeah, go for it. Why not? I kind of want to put it over Spirited Away just to make people more angry, but
Well, I don't know if people will be angry about, because people still love Ponyo.
do they? I've always kind of got the impression that was the one that people were kind of salty about when it first came out. Maybe that's what I was hearing
Really?
at the internet at that time.
I got that impression too.
It's
What
been
came
over
before.
10 years now, though,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I think maybe there's probably a bit
you have
more.
people who grew up on the movie, they're nostalgic for it.
So yeah, there's probably a bit more of a nuance to it. I mean, yeah, I think it's a great film.
All right, next we got The Wind Rises.
Yeah, I don't know where people's perspective on that one is because I'm not really that hot on it. But I mean, technically, it's pretty interesting. But
I
feel
didn't
like it's
like
another
it
one
as
of those
much.
coward Miyazaki films.
Yeah, the movie is surprisingly uncritical, honestly.
Yeah, and it's kind of probably because the vague thing it's based on is not actually about this person, but it's such a strange combo of things because I think it is actually based on a book, but that book is not actually about Mr. Zero Plane.
Jiro Horikoshi.
Yeah, so it's not actually because Jiro did not have a wife, so like that complete like the romance tuberculosis stuff that's irrelated to his actual real
That's
life.
something else? Okay.
The key factor that this movie conveniently ignores is that he is incredibly aware of what the war is doing, and he leaves the war he has too much guilt. He leaves the war before it even like goes to like the US.
Well, something interesting to keep in mind, just like in the back of my head, is like, oh, this is happening about the same time as Grave of the Fireflies?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I think Grave happens a little bit because they kind of skip
A
over
little bit
it,
later.
and
Well,
that's why
but
it's
the
coward's
movie,
way, right?
The movie starts and ends with Tokyo on fire, basically.
Yeah.
The movie attempts to address it to an extent and sort of play up this dichotomy of like airplanes are this wonderful dream, but they're just kind of perverted.
I can vibe with what Miyazaki is saying here because he says that like planes like dogs, right? That like dogs aren't inherently evil or unevil, but it's like how they are used. Like they don't have any position. Like the plane itself is a neutral
Right.
entity
Yeah. Well,
until it is used.
That's again like an overriding like thesis in Miyazaki's work when it comes to technology.
And you could probably argue that, well, obviously these planes were never going to be pretty like nice fucking flight planes, are they though? Because these are war planes.
This is a very interesting movie to watch if you feel like the Sharon Peace Museum,
Oh.
where it's all just the culmination of all like the letters that the kamikaze pilots had to like write their
I
families.
bet that was an interesting one.
Yeah, I actually went there after. No, it was right before we went to the Imperial War Museum. So
Interesting
trip.
juxtaposition of narratives.
yeah, you go there and you have to read like all the basically the propaganda that they were forced to write and like hear the stories
Yeah.
about how they got to be like put in the separate bunkers because they would keep all the other soldiers up at night.
A lot of them were just
I mean,
kind of stuck.
You're like
Huh.
17, 18, 19 years old and you're told like, hey,
Yeah,
yeah,
what can
you're
you
going to
do?
go fly a plane into a ship and die tomorrow. Yeah, and you
Oh,
go to
yeah,
the
totally.
Imperial War Museum and it's kind of closer to this movie.
Mhm.
Except it's
I wonder.
worse, obviously.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, well, this movie has
the-
many things to appreciate about it beyond that still.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely. I mean, the earthquake scene's really great, and there's definitely some great cuts of animation. And
I will say, for me, I expected the movie to have a lot more pathos to it. Like, I was expecting something along the lines of like a Spring and Chaos. It does not. It's not really on that levels. But I mean, I still really like the movie. I think for this, it's probably like low B for me.
But I think ultimately, I did not engage too well on the film, just on a like story level, because some of that's going to be on the side of like, well, especially in Japan, like if you want a war film to do well. So when we talk about money, right? The more you save, the less likely your film is going to get played in theaters on a mass level.
Right.
if it gets played at all. So like they are kind of walking a very fine line between Miyazaki's brand and what they can and can't say. Because Miyazaki's obviously, in interviews, he's obviously plays a very stern role of being incredibly anti-war and incredibly against the atrocities of World War II. It's not like he's a man that would like, it actually walks the line at all. He's always very clear about where he stands. But he's also a man who wants to make $120 million. Not $10 million.
Movie, where do you stand?
I like it a bit better than like some of the other newer Ghibli stuff, but it is kind of a hard hurdle to get over.
I think one of the things that bothers me maybe the more about this is this really weird idea they have about passion and like you only have this many years before you're like out. And I was like, where the fuck is that coming from? Is this like
Miyazaki, you've been at this for decades.
Why are you even making films then if you believe you're already passionate? I'm like, fucking hell, what the fuck are you talking about?
What did he mean by this? I say move Laputa down to B and Nausica up to A.
Yeah, okay, I'm 100% for that for obvious reasons.
And maybe, I'd say maybe Blasphemy, The Wind Rises, High C.
Yeah, fuck it, why not? I'm not going to disagree.
I like how we're like negotiating this.
I don't know how else you're supposed to do
I don't know. I don't really know what. Well, part of me,
opinions.
what I thought would just be funny is that we just don't give a fuck about the tier system, and we just put every movie in order from like bottom to top. So oldest movie here, and then newest movie here.
Yeah, new movie's good, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to have that opinion. I would love to go into the newest Miyazaki film and go, yep, that's one. All the other ones are shit.
Oh, fuck everything else. Yep.
Peak.
See, what they should have done is they should have renamed it from How Do You Live to Y'all Live Like This? And that would have really got all the kids going.
Like this.
God, and then they should change the soundtrack to have I don't know, something a bit more contemporary, something you'd see on TikTok on maybe.
What did we think of How Do You Live then?
I think it's an interesting movie. I've seen it twice
It
now.
is. I've still only
I've
seen
also
it once.
seen it twice.
Yeah, you two both saw it dubbed.
I've seen it
We saw
subbed
it-
and dubbed.
Yeah, subbed and dubbed. It was interesting watching it dubbed because it was almost like getting like a different perspective or
Yeah.
experience, I guess.
Hmm.
Where it's like I was looking at it because I was watching it dubbed. My attention was like on different things because I wasn't having to like pay attention to the subtitles.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to like watch it from like different perspectives and like different characters, like points of view and stuff.
I mean, my general perspective of it was that like I thought the dub was an interesting like comparison point, but I do think the Japanese overall is much better, I would say.
For sure.
Though I do think Robert Pattinson is definitely a highlight in this one. I think he's
Robert
so fucking
Pattinson is
wacky.
like, the universal
going
point
for
of
it.
praise for the dub.
Yeah, he's so
Robert
good.
Pattinson, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, Defoe did their good one. I think Bale was fine as well. I noticed some of the sound design was a little bit different at times.
Really? Did they make it less quiet? Because I noticed because I've only seen
think they
I've only
might
seen the
have.
sub version, and it's a very, very quiet movie.
Yeah, it's an awful theater experience.
Like it's so quiet.
Yeah, my theater experience going to watch How Do You Live, pretty full theater. I mean, it wasn't like packed to the gills or anything, but like it made me realize like how loud American movies have been for like the last 20 years. Watching that, like I could hear basically everyone shifting their seat, everyone chewing their popcorn.
Yeah.
Everyone felt like they had to fucking comment on everything. It's toward the end of the year, it's December, so like everyone's like sniffling and it's just like things I would never notice watching like a fucking Marvel movie were just like magnified because like there's so like just so quiet. Like you just hear like the footsteps. And it's supposed to be like a very like toned down, very like personal film. And you just got some dude next to you being like, "Don't go in there! Don't go in there!"
That's pretty good. I mean, I noticed there was something interesting between both showings because it was like the type of theatre I saw them in. So when I saw them on Critics' Day, it was a pretty good little theatre in London. With the screen and the sound design, it was really, really effective. I just saw it in a smaller theatre to watch the English one, and like the sound design can't really, like it's nowhere as good. And some of the things that you mentioned there were similar. Like, there was definitely people in the audience. There were some kids, teenagers who were kind of bored at the back.
Yeah.
Kind of a bit murmuring. Some fucking old people at the front be like, I don't know if this is as good as the
Did you
album."
also like have
people
did you have
shocked by
anyone
that?
being like, "Oh my gosh, I knew it"?
No,
I knew it.
I saw it in a packed IMAX theater opening
damn.
night. So, although my overall theater going experience was a lot better than it sounds like movies. Like that was basically the only time I was like, "Please be quiet." I mean, people like laugh. People laughed at like parts I feel like it's appropriate to laugh at when like the dad is fighting all the parakeets. Yeah, like there's like funny stuff where it's like, okay, yeah, that's fine to laugh. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, please.
I don't know. My theater laughed at fucking everything. Like an old lady would be walking, and they're like laughing at this old lady walking. I'm like, it's not that fun. It's what the fuck. Like,
it's interesting you mention that. So when I went to like the critic showing, so these people are supposed to like know what they're doing. Apparently, they were just like laughing at random stuff too. They were just like I don't know, because they thought it was weird.
Just laughing at like I don't know, the horrific delivery room scene, and you're like, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha.
What did we actually think about the movie?
I really liked the movie.
I think I do. I remember coming out of it and be like, I don't really know originally. I remember really enjoying the first half. But
it's
yeah, I think
definitely the most like difficult to grasp Miyazaki movie, I'd say.
Yeah, I think Hoba said it. It's like Miyazaki's Angel's Egg, which I was like, that's a pretty funny comparison.
Yeah, Chris Stuckman made that comparison as well. I think, Mumi, would you compare it to? Like, it's Miyazaki's Evangelion.
Oh yeah, it's like
interesting.
Between like the anti-escapism and then main character wanting to fuck his mom or something.
Well, no, it's mainly like it being a response to like a book, right? Like it's kind of like co-opting that, like, Neon Genesis Evangelion is very much like a direct kind of challenge. So like the Bible is like the new gospel or whatever. Whereas like How Do You Live is almost like it's challenging a work with like a visceral kind of experience like Evangelion did.
Yeah, I read the book as well, and they're definitely quite different. Yeah, I mean, like, the movie is using it as, like, reference point, because it's literally saying, yeah, this boy read this book. I don't know why the fuck he's crying. So I was like, oh, I don't know, why the fuck would you cry? So I was like, okay.
The book was just so bad.
This
was the last thing my mom gave me.
Yeah, this is the worst fucking book I've ever read.
It's so boring. It's like a fucking textbook, but they've rewritten it as a story.
But it's interesting you said you liked the first half more, because I liked the second half more than the first half. Yes.
I like both.
Yeah, well, I think that they complement each other really well.
I think in rewatching it, I can kind of feel how both kind of like blend into each other more so. I think when watching it originally, I was like, oh, okay, now we're going into the Miyazaki side. Because as soon as I was like a Miyazaki food scene, I was like, okay, now we're in the comfortable territory.
It's interesting you say that, because the one thing that I feel like, the one Miyazaki thing I feel like was missing from this movie is that there's no like graceful flying scenes in the movie.
Oh yeah, I mean there's some falling scenes, I guess.
There's falling scenes. Yeah, the things that fly in the movie are kind of like jokey characters.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there are definitely flying creatures, but they're all kind of antagonists.
There's also no planes. Like you got like the canopies, like a single plane.
Because planes are hard to draw. That's true of it. I mean, they show the little bits and pieces of it because there is a plane factory.
But yeah, the planes aren't built, so it's kind of like a deconstruction.
Yeah, literal deconstruction.
Literally.
Or like, what would be the word before you actually construct it?
Unassembled?
Yeah, unassembly. That's what this film is, unassembled.
But like structurally, because like the way the movie is divided into two halves, basically, where you have like this very like, it's very normal, it's very almost like off-putting at the start, where it's like it's so like alien and uncomfortable.
It's very quiet, very sort of foreboding. Yeah. I mean, there was definitely a part I remember being in the cinema the first time thinking like, is this going to be like the Lighthouse kind of situation? Because like I was like, oh, he had a concussion, so I was like, oh, are they kind of gonna do like it's all in his head? Because the bird's like fucking with him. Like, is the bird actually fucking with him? Is this like the Raven? Are we going in that territory where like, is it actually? Because no one else has seen the bird fuck with him yet. So
I did think about that again the second time too. I still think like there is an element to that. Yeah. There's clearly stuff that's not happening that he's like dreaming, and then there's clearly stuff that probably didn't happen.
Yeah, he's like merging these worlds because he's got these weird dreams where it's like, are these actually calling to him, or is this just his guilt manifest?
But the structure of the movie is, so yeah, the first half is like is normal, and then the second half just flies like completely off the rails. It gets like really weird and abstract in a way that Miyazaki really hasn't like done before. I mean, obviously stuff like, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, like his movies like can have weird things in them, but whereas this feels much more dreamlike.
There's usually like an internal consistency that's missing in this.
Yeah.
Yes, because I feel like the dream world here, it's like almost like it doesn't matter, because like who's this? It's all kind of just like there.
Well, one kind of reminded like a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because one, the original Gene Wilder movie kind of follows that structure as well, where it's like the first half is like dry British comedy. And then like the second half is the fireworks factory.
It's basically like the poor fantasy starts in a very like mundane world.
Alice in Wonderland was another thing I was thinking of while watching this.
Yeah, it's a portal fantasy. Yeah, I mean, I've heard people talk about Narnia a little bit as well.
Going along with the dream logic stuff, like there's a lot of times where things are just kind of like placidly just kind of accepted.
Yeah.
Like there's just like fucking like we got to cut open this fish so that things can eat the guts so they can fly.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, okay.
There's things that are definitely merchandise. The Wani Wani flying up to the sky.
Yes,
they're just being eaten by pelicans.
But they're also like souls of the children. So
that have not been born yet.
I mean, the sort of like side of that of like, I don't know, like the symbolism of it is almost like a field day. Because I'm just thinking like, what does that say?
But they're only eating them because there's no food left in the ocean. There's like I said, there's something going on there, but it's not immediately clear, I feel like.
Yeah, I think you could say that about the whole film. I think there's definitely a level of esotericness there where like, I think I said that like this film is like if Miyazaki wanted to be truly naked, but then he changed his mind and put a cloak over him and ran into the mud. It's set during a period when he grew up and there's also a fire. And it's like, okay, well, Miyazaki also went through fires when he was a kid during the firebombing. Though technically, looking at the film, it doesn't seem like this is a firebombing. Upon second rewatching, I don't think that's true because it was a fire just in the hospital, which gives the implication maybe his mother actually burnt the hospital down because she has fire powers later on in the film. So if there's supposed to be some esoteric connection to that, it might have been.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was another thing that was immediately obvious to me. It's like you see that there's a character casting fireballs, and I'm like, who else could it fucking be?
Who could it be? Is it the woman that appears in the O'Hara animation sequence in Bowls of Flames?
That was shocking to me that they put that at the front. I'm like, okay, we're just scaring the normals right off the bat.
I mean, there's like 5 or 6 O'Hara cuts in this film. You can tell, like every dream sequence, I'm pretty sure is him.
They're very featured prominently as like a central pillar throughout the movie.
If you're going to get someone who's going to do dreamlike stuff, you might as well get the best.
Yeah. Which was something interesting I noted in the credits is that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it looked like there were far fewer key animators on this movie than like previous like Ghibli films I'd seen.
The Japanese had like 23 credits, and I can't remember how many the English one did. I know like ones that we definitely know about, there's about 27 that I've seen that have been recorded. There could be more because some people could be uncredited. It's a little bit smaller, but it might just be because of the... At one point, Suzuki said something like having 60 animators, and people assume that might have been keys, but I think he was just fucking lying, and it was 30. So even 30 in-betweeners and 30 animators, which is not that different than what they usually have. From what I understand, the film was very like up and down in terms of like they'd be making it, and then Miyazaki's got to make a storyboard still, and then that means everything stops for a bit. And then when the storyboards are done, everyone starts again, and they start animating again when they've got their storyboards until that's finished.
Basically, your standard Miyazaki production.
Yeah, so like I guess when they stop, they just stop, right? The animators aren't like looking for something to do. They just like they'll be in the studio, and then I guess they're not in the studio for a bit.
I don't think an 80-year-old Miyazaki can be pulling all-nighters anymore.
No, that's why they put the limits on, I'd say. Although it does sound like, at least behind the scenes, that he was actually... Because there was a bit where everyone was like, okay, he's definitely not doing corrections. And it's like, actually, no, he can't help himself. He's still trying. He just physically can't do it.
You motherfucker. It came out like right after when the movie was released that like everyone was saying that, oh, this is Miyazaki's last movie. And he's like, no, he's still coming into the studio and doing stuff. So it's like...
Yeah, they had to... I think what, to me, and this is what they do at Ghibli, right? They were like, this film did not perform as well as we would have liked to in Japan. So now we're at the American festivals. We're going to start bigging up that Ghibli's not dead. Let's keep going. He's thinking of new ideas. Like, but nothing's on paper yet. There's no money down. There's no green lights. Right. But they're like, no, still going. He's still doing things. Getting the news cycle. Yeah.
Which, I could very well see him, if he can even live long enough to do another feature-length movie. Maybe some more short animated stuff. But he'd probably die if in the process of making another feature.
Yeah, there's an old quote from about 2011 where he literally says, I'm probably destined to die making a magnum opus. So, I think that's probably what will happen.
It's a very Miyazaki thing to say. But it worked, though, as a marketing tactic. This movie's performed pretty damn well in the US.
It's performed better than any Ghibli movie in the US. 25 million to right now, and it's still going. So, I don't know how long it's going to stay in the theaters, but it could potentially stay all December, I guess, because nothing else is on.
Its theater run has been extended. Yeah, so I really like this movie. Because, for the first half, it's a very, withdrawn sort of character drama, but I'm also struggling to empathize with the main character Mahito because he's a very reserved kid. I mean, understandably so, given that his mother died and then they move out to the countryside and his dad then marries his mother's sister. That's
Yeah, it's
fucking
pretty
weird.
It is pretty fucking weird. And I don't know how you, as a kid, is supposed to like deal with that idea.
Within a year of his mom dying.
His
you know?
dad
Yes.
is like going on there.
I do like though that his dad is very clearly like trying to do his best and take care of him.
He's not like an asshole.
I do think what's funny to me about the some blusteringness of his father is how he kind of like sets up his own problem. There's all these poor kids, and his dad's like, "Wait until I see you get here in a car."
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself,
like,
that's
oh my
not
God.
going to hell. For me, like the second half of the movie, because it becomes so strange, because we enter this sort of dream world, and I don't know what the hell's going on, and I'm kind of going
It's
on
true.
this journey with him. I felt like I empathized more with him in the second half. I feel like there's like a lot to like decipher there, and that's kind of what I enjoy about a lot of stuff, like Angel's Egg
Yeah.
or Evangelion.
I don't know
and
if you're
stuff
ever going
like
to find a true answer, but I don't know if that's really the point. My only concern with it is usually just that what I see here is I feel like people try and read Miyazaki too much into it, and they can't because like it's too much of a cipher. There isn't enough here about Miyazaki's real life to actually give you any insight. Because there's a lot of like references visually to all his other films in this movie. And I'm instantly always like, oh, is there supposed to be some sort of poetry here about that? Is there supposed to be like a sort of like tying the bow, you know, what he thinks might be his last film before he dies? Is this kind of like a reference to his career or something? Like,
there are moments that definitely feel like not necessarily like overt callbacks, but kind of feel evocative of like previous stuff he's done.
oh, absolutely. I think that's intentionally so.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the obvious reading of the movie is that the old man, the great granduncle or whatever, is Miyazaki, and then the main character is Goro,
I wouldn't say Goro. It'd be his grandson.
grandson, something along those lines, which I could see that.
Because Goro is 50 years old. I think it would almost be insulting to draw him as like a 12-year-old. He has a child himself. It would be like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? I'm 53 years old. I have my own children.
So I guess the question becomes like, because like people have talked a lot. Like I know watching like videos about this on YouTube, it's always come back to like, oh, this is about Miyazaki's empire. The old man is just
Maybe.
Miyazaki, and it's all about his empire.
Well, I think to put this in perspective, let's talk about the original book, because I think they're missing this point. The original book is also about an uncle who gives guidance to a young man trying to learn how to be a good man in society. If Miyazaki be the grand uncle in this situation, well, this movie then would represent as the same message, how to survive in this modern world, which is dark and difficult. Like, I think that's what he's trying to give. You can do this, and then the answer is actually, oh, but I must simply make friends survive in this new world and find my own way.
Yeah, you can escape in a fantasy, or you can like, you know, face the real world essentially, which his new mother.
There's like a connecting point between those two, because she also seems to run away into this fantasy world.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing.
Reason.
It's well, because like, you know, there's like complications with her pregnancy.
She
you know,
seems to be struggling
her
too.
sister died, and then she married her husband.
Yeah, and she's noticing, I think, that the son is not really accepting her, and I think that might be making her uncomfortable.
I mean,
that he's like completely just checked out.
Yeah, which then culminates in that whole delivery room scene where they both
Yeah, which is
kind of
probably one of the
were
best
like,
scenes in the film. The animation director, I think he was the key animator in that scene.
Yeah, my thing, I guess, like how I kind of interpreted a lot of stuff. I thought the land of like the dead, the living kind of thing. I thought of that as more like a mindscape. If you're dead, you can't really affect anything. You're just like a memory at that point. Whereas like,
because you also see the people in the boats. The boats are always in the distance, but they never get any closer, or the ghosts on the boat. It almost is like he went to a form of purgatory, because he meets his dead mother there too. So you could probably read it that way, that this is almost like a purgatory for things that aren't quite alive.
The fact that like a lot of the Ghibli kind of references, quote unquote, take place here is like
dead ideas,
you know, the fact
from
that
older years. You can kind of see some reference to a film that he didn't make but was heavily inspired by, which is The King and the Mockingbird, especially with the king, especially on towards the end, because there's a lot of surrealist painting-esque references here, which is also the same as King and the Mockingbird. But the whole bird society stuff and the sort of like gluttonous kind of king character, these are all very like King and the Mockingbird type events, that was a surrealist French animated movie. I think the original version's in the 40s. They finished it in the 80s. But Miyazaki was really inspired by it, as well as the Toei team. And I was kind of wondering if that was like sort of the bow tying kind of came from that as well. That like this is almost like him looking back to things that inspired him before he was even a creator.
So that would make sense, because it's kind of like implied that the goofy fascist bird is like one of his creations in this dream world, essentially.
Oh yeah, I guess one that took over, I suppose. One maybe that went too far.
The thing that stood out, I think, with like the old man, is the 13 Stones thing. Because like when I went into it the second time, I was thinking about the Ghibli stuff, And I was like, 13 is an oddly specific number for the Stones. And it's like, it almost lines up with the amount of movies that Miyazaki's directed.
What about the show? He did
Namely-
make one show beforehand, though. So if we're counting like projects he's worked on, you could probably also put Future Boy Conan in there.
Yeah, Conan would make it 13.
So maybe that's the number. It's like 13 projects or 13 big projects.
To me, like the Stones felt like a very like overt route because like they're like, okay, it's a literal ivory tower
And it's falling apart.
it's falling apart, and he as a doddering old man just needs to like occasionally tap it in order to maintain it.
Looking at him that way, it makes sense because like all the movies aren't uniform, right?
No.
They're all
Right.
just kind of just whatever. They're all different kinds of shapes. They're all different styles.
Yeah,
and all
they
that.
form
So,
on their own. See, I mean, it's kind of an interesting way of looking at it in terms of like these worlds aren't ones that he necessarily controls. They're like it's a side product of like the process of creation.
Right.
You cannot control these
Yeah.
things, which seems to be something Miyazaki constantly brings up. It's a very big thing in Nausica, like plants or something. You know, when you grow, you might grow trees naturally, but eventually the roots will sort of spread and do their own thing to the point that you have no control of them anymore.
But I think that's where like my admiration and enjoyment for the movie comes from, is that it is something that you can really like more than
can build on it, absolutely.
Miyazaki's other stuff. You can really like read into it and come away with your own interpretation. Whereas I feel like
yeah.
you know, stuff like Spirited Away or Howl is less clear, but I still feel pretty obvious.
I think it's a very interesting visual film, especially because I think one of the things I most admire about it is the team behind it. Having Honda as like the actual like head animation director makes things far more interesting because he's far more likely to give artists their kind of like individual credence. So like you get a lot of like weird cuts, and even though I'd say it's relatively uniform to what it needs to be, it's not afraid of like just doing a scene that completely stands out. Like if that's Ohira's scenes or even his scene, these scenes that really stand on their own.
Yeah.
Even like the shots that are like not necessarily like a Sakuga cut or something. The backgrounds in
Subtlety.
this, they have like a different color palette than a lot of
It's very
Ghibli
green,
stuff.
but that's probably because the colorist died. So this is the successor of the color department. It's a very green-brown sort of aesthetic. In that, like, it's not just green in the grass, but it's green on everything. There's a sort of like green lighting, a sort of mold and feel. But then I guess later on in the film, you get a bit more warm. I think when you get to like the party at the end and stuff.
The part where Mahito like wakes up in like a black room essentially, and all you see is like that trapezoidal entrance. I was like, oh,
Nice.
okay, this is something I've not seen in a Ghibli movie before. I mean, but I still think, you know, beyond like all like the abstract imagery and trying to like figure out what the movie weird shit means, I still feel like it's a straightforward like coming of age story with
Absolutely,
how like
it fits in how do you live is basically as well as, you know, finding your path in the world, and the way in which they do that is different, but I think they come to the similar conclusions in the end.
Yeah. I mean, that's like kind of like I really like how like the movie just kind of like ends with him like walking off, and then the room is just empty for like a few seconds. Where do we want to place it?
The rationale doesn't matter. It's fine.
No, it doesn't. It's just
all vibes.
completely superficial.
I feel like we could just be like a fucking hack and just put it in fucking S tier. Because
We
like,
said we would, yeah.
it's the new thing.
New thing.
It's the new thing.
It's
and
the
they're always
new
the best
hotness.
thing.
We put it in the new hotness.
But no, I generally do feel
Same.
like it's high.
Yeah,
Like
it's
for
a-
me,
a
it's
very
like
interesting accomplishment. Just
Yeah.
from a technical perspective, that like it has such a scale to it. Like the set pieces, the amount of drawings they needed to do, and knowing that they all had to do them on fucking paper, I feel so fucking bad for like Inoue. They had to do that shit because he had to do all those bird scenes on paper because Miyazaki doesn't get how computers work. So you should do it with a tablet and you copy and paste stuff over, just sort of like give yourself some
Oh, good
leeway.
lord!
And he was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Do it on paper."
Do it on paper.
God. But yeah, I feel very similarly to Sai, where it's like I think this just is like in my strike zone. Like this is just
Yeah, I
kind of
think
made
so.
more for me than most of Miyazaki's stuff.
Oh, I can totally feel that. This, you know, I'm more on the esoteric side of things. I mean,
Yeah, as long as it's like not getting lost up its own ass, I'm all for it.
yeah, I think it had a pretty clear like
this-
thread, which was that like get your new mother back, right? That's kind of like there, and then everything else is, you know, it's fine. That thread keeps the story going, no matter how weird it gets.
Yeah, to me, this is like my second favorite Miyazaki movie. It's like top 5 Ghibli. So.
Yeah, it's up there with like Totoro and Spirited Away for me. It's definitely one that I feel like I could derive more from on rewatch, which is very funny because Miyazaki notoriously hates rewatching movies.
Oh, well, especially his own. But I mean, I don't blame him. Like, you know, if you spend that long of your life making something, why the fuck would you want to watch it again?
Why would you ever want to see it again?
You've seen it 1,000 times.
But yeah, I'm good with it being S tier.
Oh, fuck it, put it on the S tier. It's good for your video.
Let's do the SEO, baby.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's go.
It's the best
Miyazaki's
Ghibli movie.
newest movie.
It's the best.
The best Ghibli movie.
It's the
best
best one
Ghibli
because
movie.
it came out yesterday, maybe. I
The
don't know.
best, the best, the
Yeah, the
best,
best.
the best of you.
100 years, Miyazaki, let's go. Wait for the next one. It'll
Let's
be even
go.
better, I bet.
Put that motherfucker on life support. Get his brain into a jar
Yeah,
like
He
Disney.
can make content forever. And never let him stop.
You've got to train an AI on Miyazaki's brain. We can just generate movies for Ghibli for however
I feel
long.
like that's just a dream come true for him. Like,
Yeah, he's like, oh, thank
I think
God,
it's-
you mean I could just work forever? Yeah, okay, let's go.
I don't have to sleep. I don't have to eat.
Well,
Let's
I'm
go.
a robot now. I mean, I think he hates robots, but now he's going to be like, actually, I don't think I mind robots anymore. My robots are good, actually.
Robots are cool.
No, all they need to do is give him a body like one of the robots he drew, and he'll be cool with it. I think it's fucking epic.
Oh.
He's like, I'm the robot from Laputa now.
They can put him in the robot that they have in the fucking Ghibli museum at the
We're just
top.
gonna- And he'll be like, hello, I'm Hayao Miyazaki. I'm currently making Laputa 2.
Yeah, I think this was a good tier list. I think it's funny that Porco Rosso is so high.
Oh, yeah, I just noticed.
I mean, I'm fine with
that's
that
my
being
opinion.
like number one here. I think that's probably the movie that we're all like unanimously like as
Yeah,
positive. I don't know. Yeah, any of you have any qualms? I mean, I'm not happy.
We're just never happy.
I want to kill myself.